Hey guys, so we're out here in Southfield, Michigan. We are at a parking structure. I don't know if you guys can fully see, but this is a fully clear parking structure outside for a few Lucid vehicles on the fourth floor or whatever. But we're here in Southfield. This is like the golden hour. Early in the morning. I've never recorded a video this early in the morning. But I really wanted to come and knock it out. I took a shot at this same video yesterday, and I realized I had the cameras flipped. So what you guys are looking at now, it was flipped. So you know how you get the small box? The small box had me, and the big part was whatever's over there, which you guys can see the beautiful sunset. So that was the big part, but I wanted it flipped, obviously, because the focus of the video is whatever the topic is. Speaking of, we're going to talk about emotional intelligence and how it's like absolutely important for relationships, important for how you walk into a room, but also what trumps emotional intelligence is authenticity, but also truth and what can actually save an individual. So we talk about emotional intelligence as being super, super important. Women talk about it, men even talk about it. One of the ways that emotional intelligence kind of is integrated and kind of pushed onto people is you walk into a room and maybe you say something that's a little out of touch with the room, and the people in the room might say, read the room. So that's just a regular old situation, right? Like, let's say you were showing up to a funeral, right? And currently in the funeral, you don't know this. You're not even here yet, but currently in the funeral, it's a solemn energy, and usually it is, right? A funeral is usually a solemn type energy, a reflective type energy, thinking through, okay, what has happened in this person's life? What have they gone through? What are the good things that they've done? Kind of reflecting, but also funerals give us an opportunity to think about our own lives and how maybe we would want our funeral to look like. Would there be this many people? Would people be saying similar things, positive things? Would they be saying anything positive concerning us? We have those questions within ourselves, even though we have moments where we're talking about good things, we smile, but at the same time, we're like, man, this could be me. And if you don't think like that, then you're not thinking about the end in mind. I mean, think about it. That's what this is all about. At some point, we're going to reach our end. At some point, we're going to commend our spirit unto God. So think about it in that way. Like, this is exactly what will occur with you. Unless you're Enoch or Elijah, you'll have a different kind of situation. So, the funeral has a solemn, reflective, maybe even sad energy, right? We don't want it to be sad, but let's say it's sad. It's a sad funeral. And all of them can be potentially sad, but not all of them are. So anyways, you're running a little late and you know yourself to be a confident, full of charisma, full of energy person. You've got a lot to offer. You got a lot of energy. You offer a lot of value to the room. You know that. You know when you go in a room, people start laughing. People start enjoying themselves. They enjoy your energy, right? And as soon as you get up to the door, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to come in with that energy. And maybe as soon as you approach the door, the person standing at the door sees you coming in with a lot of energy. Maybe you're a little loud. Maybe you're a little so loud that maybe they can hear you in the room, in the back room where they're doing the viewing of the funeral. So the person at the door says, shh, right? That's the initial emotional intelligence. Society's telling you to be emotionally intelligent. Read the room, right? Fair enough. And in that situation, it makes perfect sense to read the room. It makes perfect sense to say in this moment, wait a minute, there might be something else going on. I can't approach this the same way. I can't approach this like this is a party. I can't approach this like I'm walking into the room at work and everyone's tired and groggy and I'm lifting up the room. I can't approach it that same way. They have a reason, a valid reason to feel the way they feel, to feel that solemn reflectiveness, maybe a little deja vu, to think about their life. They have a reason to think about that. And maybe I shouldn't take that away from them. Maybe the sorrow that they're dealing with concerning this individual, they should be feeling, because maybe it draws them closer to the Most High, draws them closer to a relationship with Christ, right? So you're coming in and you're thinking, oh, my personality is that of loudness, that of charisma, that of high expression, joke making, being funny, being clever and witty, right? But truthfully, in that situation, it is right to maybe shift your personality to a more showing love, compassion, and focusing on that, focusing on bringing some empathy and sympathy. Because maybe the reason why you're in that state going in there excited, maybe you're not with them emotionally because they were a distant person that you knew of and you're coming to pay respects, but you're not down in the dumps and you know all these people. So to you, this is an opportunity to speak with people that you care about, but you recognize the room, you read the room, and the room says, tone it down. And you see in the moment, and this is a lot of times what you have to do. Look at the moment and see what you can offer, right? Sometimes you can't shift the energy of the room. Sometimes you go into the energy of the room with them, right? And help them through, help them through. Even experience some of what they're experiencing. Having not just sympathy, but having empathy, being able to understand what they're going through and relating, not pushing on what you've been through to relate, but emotionally feeling with them. Right now, me and my buddies are reading Job, and it was in Job 2, towards the end of the chapter, where three of his friends made a decision to spend 7 days, something called Shiva. It's a Jewish tradition. After Job had lost children, servants, all of his means of making money, he's a wealthy man, a righteous man. He had lost his children, his servants, like everything in the natural world. If it were me in this modern day, it would mean if I had children, it would be children. Maybe I lose my car. Maybe I lose the job that I had, the amazing job that I have. Maybe I lose every single avenue of money that I had coming in completely. Maybe I suddenly lose my house. All right. All these things. That's the weight of what's going on with Job. Right. So the Jewish tradition is you take 7 days of silence to allow that person to be in sorrow. And what happens typically is people will come and visit that person and just be quiet with them. Just spend that time and be quiet with them. It's a respect of that time of sorrow, allowing them to be fully ingratiated in that time of sorrow, but you're showing empathy, not trying to pull them out of it, but just sitting there with them, because that's more powerful. I feel like being with the person can be more powerful than saying, I've got to pull them out of this. If you're taking the time to see them as they are, recognize, and even help them with the burden of the pain, maybe looking them in the eye and communicating something that's deeper than words, not needing words, telling them through your energy that I understand and I am here for you. That can be so powerful, right? So powerful. So they took 7 days. These three friends of Job took these 7 days to sit with Job and have that empathy and sympathy. And I believe that that's what empathy is. It's a deeper layer. And the person that's walking into this funeral home has to have that. And it's powerful. It's absolutely powerful. Because yes, in a sense, that person has to put aside their normally louder, gregarious, exciting, charismatic, funny personality, their fun personality. You have to put that aside and kind of shift gears, read the room. Now, in that situation, it's perfectly reasonable. It's perfectly powerful in what he did. He was able to shift. He was able to make adjustments based on the moment. That's what it's all about, right? In basketball, especially in a championship on the line, playoffs type of game, players are constantly having to make adjustments. And when we're as the viewer, me as the viewer, I'm watching the game and I'm looking at the coach and seeing what adjustments did he make after he lost the game. Okay, is he going to make some adjustments that's going to bridge the gap to make it where he can come back the next game and win? Because the best games to me, the best playoff games, the best series are when one team wins and then the coach makes an adjustment and the next team and the other team wins and a coach makes another adjustment and the next and maybe at some point one coach makes an adjustment that the other one can't match up with. But the back and forth is interesting because it's challenging minds while also challenging the players to adapt to the new things that they're seeing. Because I believe to an extent, coaches hold back some of their skill set. Coaches hold back some of their abilities so that they can leave it for the championship, leave it for those opportunities where they want to use it for the trick plays, the plays that are in the background. They're leaving it for those specific moments, right? They're putting it in their back pocket. So they surprise the coach with new plays they've never used before, right? And I believe that's exactly what happens. So they are surprised by these new moves, and the coach has to be able to study what they did and find a way around it, right? So those adjustments are necessary. You have it as an individual to be able to grow, has to be able to make those adjustments, right? But I'll offer a whole different perspective, a perspective that's kind of outside of the read the room idea. I believe as Christians, we're supposed to be atmosphere changers. We're supposed to change the atmosphere of the world. So I would offer this. There was a time in the Bible, a moment in the Bible where Jesus entered into the temple that's supposed to be honoring his father. And he sees merchants in the temple selling goods. He sees merchants in the temple selling sacrificial lambs, sacrificial cattle to people so that they can offer sacrifice for their sins. But this is completely contrary, in Jesus' eyes, it's completely contrary to the idea of what the temple is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a house of worship unto the Father. And essentially the Pharisees had started using spirituality, using cleanliness, using purity, using their power to say, you can't be forgiven of this sin unless you pay for it in some kind of way, forcing them to use the payment for these cattle, putting them in that situation where they have to, it's just a commerce. It's not a temple anymore. It became a commerce, a money grab for the people that were enslaved. The tax collectors outside the door, making sure everybody paid to Caesar. So it had transformed into something that it was not supposed to be, not a house of worship. It was totally different. So reading the room, Jesus might walk in and be like, oh, this is interesting. This is, and he might ingratiate himself to what the moment is offering. Or he'll be what I believe Christians are supposed to be, atmosphere changers.